welcome to the waterfowl den. No, this is not RD tonight. He couldn't be with us, and he asked me to sit in for him, so I told him I would sit in for him tonight. Uh, I hope everybody's having a good week. Happy Wednesday. The South finally got some cold weather, some really cold weather, not weather we're normally used to this early. Uh, he had a couple things he wanted me to talk about tonight, and I was going to talk about two or three things. I was going to talk about some college football. How crazy is the playoffs right now? I don't think anybody knows exactly what's going to happen just yet, but it has been a crazy 2 weeks. Teams losing that were picked to dominate and didn't think had a chance of losing anything, and they did. We if you watch the channel very much, you know that I am a big time Georgia fan, and they're not faring as well as I wanted them to, but let's just hope it gets better. And RD's favorite, they have pulled off a really good football season. Something really to be proud of. But that's gonna get decided here in the next couple of weeks. Who's gonna be in the playoffs? Who ain't gonna be in the playoffs? But it's been a crazy football season so far this year, and we'll see what happens here in the turn out really good. We'll see. One of the other things that I had told was the waterfowl season, weather. So far this year, it's been not terribly cool here until the last week or so. We've got some really cold weather the last week, and I've been a couple of times. I've just got off of a 8-week long 612 outage, and that ended 2 weeks ago, and I was more than happy to get off of it. But we the last week and a half anyway, we've had some really cold weather that we usually don't get quite this early in the waterfowl season. It's been very kind of refreshing for us to get something like that this early in the season. Our season went out Sunday. The first season went out Sunday, and this year it's only going to be out for 1 week, and ours actually comes back in Saturday. But we had two pretty good hunts so far this year. The first one was decent. The second one saw a lot of birds, a whole lot of birds, and did pretty good both mornings, but did really good the second morning. And I know he's been having a real good season. He did real good during teal season, and he's sent me some pictures, and I feel quite sure y'all will get to see the video sooner or later. But him and his buddies have done really good this year in Carolina. Their season is out right now, and I think theirs comes back in the 12th. I think is what it's December 12th. But I'm sure he's gonna have some upcoming videos on some of his hunts, and maybe he can get some of his buddies to get on there with him and do some more talking like they did last week. But I've talked to several people up north that wasn't having any birds, and all of a sudden they got some cold weather and they had birds everywhere. And I know the migration's on because I've talked to several people that were further south, some in Louisiana and Alabama and stuff, and I know they've been getting a pretty good bit of birds in. I'm not sure that it's full blown migration yet, but I think this last little cold snap we had up north and that ended up coming all the way down south with us, I'm sure it's going to get a lot of things to move. And I know some guys in North Carolina that was starting to see birds last week. I hadn't talked to any of them since last week, but I know they were seeing some birds last week. But it's been a good year so far. We like I said, we had a real good weekend last weekend. Um, had some few unexpected things that went on during the weekend, as you could probably expect. But um, it's been a good season so far. Had a good time. That's why I used to be a big time deer hunter, and I still like to deer hunt. I haven't been this year at all because me working the schedule that I was working not too long ago, it just didn't permit it. But we'll see how things go uh, here in the next couple of weeks, whether I get to try to do some of that or not. Y'all have to forgive me. I am not the IT expert that RD is, so I'm a wrench turner, not an IT specialist. So y'all just have to bear with me on that. But he'll be back with us next week, so he can. I'm sure he'll have us some stories uh, from some of his hunts already this year. But yeah, he wanted me to talk some about the waterfowl season and the weather. But like I said, it's been a real good year. Um, we I'm trying to think of how I want to put things to where I'm supposed to put them on here. Uh, but I know a lot of people that's been seeing a lot of birds. I've got a trip coming up to Florida here in the very near future. And talked to the outfitter down there, and they talk like they're home right now. Let's see, today's Wednesday. I think it was last Friday. I think it was Thursday or Friday. We talked to him, and he said that they had them. They were there. The redheads, canvasbacks. Uh, they were doing really good. Bluegills, and but he's like I said, he'll be back next week. I'm having a hard time with it tonight because I'm not the spokesperson he is. So y'all just have to bear with me. I do much better when he's on here with me. So. But but the weather, like I was saying a while ago earlier, the weather has been it's been it's been nice to have it this cold this early. I'm gonna try to do some hunting this weekend. Our season comes back in Saturday, and I'm gonna try to do some hunting this weekend. We've had this morning when I left to go to work, it was 24 degrees this morning, which that's the coldest morning that we've had so far this year. But we've got a lot of water. I mean, a lot of water, which was the problem that we had. Excuse me, Saturday. We saw plenty of birds, but there is plenty of water for them to be in, which is the problem that most everybody that I talk to around here is having. Is there's plenty of birds here already, and when I say birds, most of what we don't have here is going to be wood duck. We saw a lot of birds Saturday, but like I was saying, there's so much water right now that there's so many places for them to feed, so many places for them to load. Uh, it's not a normal situation this time of year. It's usually still fairly dry here. And what birds we do have, if you have water, and you're generally gonna have a pretty good bit of birds because it's not as many places for them to feed and load. And usually we don't deal with this much water until around Christmas time and then the whole month of January. Usually it's not this this wet this time of year. Um, but hopefully this cold is going to bring some more birds on top of what we already got. I'm sure it probably will. And I can't honestly say that I've ever said this time of the season that we had a problem with water. If we did have a problem with water because we didn't have enough of it, but there's plenty of it right now. And I got to shoot. I got to shoot some of my reloads Saturday, Friday, and Saturday, and really, really tickled with my reload. If that's something you hadn't done, it might be something you want to check into. Not necessarily for because it's not going to save you money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is because it's not. It's a good hobby to take up. It's fun. It's even that much more fun when you can kill a bird with something that you loaded yourself, something that a recipe that you came up with, and something that it's your own. And I may or may not toy with some of that when turkey season gets here. I'll have to wait and see. I've got enough of that that I could probably hunt the next 10 seasons and not have to reload any shells of that. But I am really, really tickled with my reloads. They cycle good, not a lot of recoil. And I was really tickled with the patterns I was getting when I was putting it on paper. And it's a real good hobby to get into. It can be a little time consuming, but it's really fun. It is to me, and I know RD really enjoys it too. He's a real big buddy and stays on the phone a lot with Keith at Salt Creek. Um, and he's enjoyed it as much as I have. He's a little more into the sport and clays things than what I am, which I think somewhat kind of got him into it besides the waterfowl. But I'm not really into the sport and plays like what he is. I mean, I like shooting them, but he really does a pretty good bit of that in the summertime. But his reloads, I think he's pretty tickled with his too, which he shoots God's gauge is what he calls it. The Lord's gun is what he calls it, Lord's gauge. Um, I'm a little bit older than him. We'll leave it at that. And so I'm in the sub gauge. I'm shooting the 20 gauges. And to be quite honest with you, Friday morning and Saturday morning, uh, mostly Saturday morning, um, me and the two guys were with me, or I was with them. And I was shooting a 20. One of my buddies was shooting a 20, and the other one was shooting a 12. And couldn't tell any difference as far as gauge wise, which, I know they got a larger shark cup than the 12, so they're throwing a little more bismuth or steel or whatever they're throwing. But couldn't really tell the difference as far as that's concerned. But had a real good weekend. Saw a lot of birds. Real optimistic about the rest of the year, especially if we can keep this cold like what we got now. And I think RD's in the same situation with South Carolina. I think they're they're pretty pleased with it's only gonna get better. And I'm not upset with what I've seen so far. So the rest of the year is only gonna get better as it gets colder and colder up north and stays colder up north. So should turn out to be a, a pretty good season. I'm hoping we'll see how that goes. I'm planning on uh, doing some diver hunting this year, which is something I had never done before. But I'm running out of some private to hunt wood ducks on, so I'm having to resort to some public land, and I'm gonna try to hunt diver some this year. Me and him are planning on if we can get it together sometime between now and the end of the season, trying to get together and getting on a diver hunt together and experiment with that, which I think he's done some diver hunting, but I hadn't done anything. Um, our duck season for us, for the folks most of the folks that I hunt with, is generally hunting here at the house on wood ducks, and then going to Louisiana or Reelfoot or Florida or something like that to go shoot big ducks, because we just we don't have we don't have the big ducks here like what coastal Carolina does, or what, some of North Carolina, stuff like that. We don't really get a whole lot of that. Um, but we're gonna try to get together and do some diver hunting this year, and see if we can master the art of some long lines and see how that goes. And if we don't, we still gonna have a good time, regardless. Which is why I've gotten to where, as I've gotten older, I like duck hunting as good as I do versus how much I used to deer hunt, because it's the camaraderie. Uh, you could sit there and cut up with one another, and when you're deer hunting, it's quiet, and paying attention, and it's not the fun that the duck blind is. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks anyway, we'll try to get some younger fellows going hunting, and they enjoy it. Hopefully they can kill one. Uh, we'll see how that goes. But like I was saying, I'm real tickled so far with how season's gone. It's been real nice to have some cold weather this early, because most of the time here, Thanksgiving is, if you get 40 degrees, you've done good. And I'd much rather hunt in the cold. I don't deal with it nearly as well as I used to, because I'm not nearly as young as I used to be. But I can deal with it good enough, and the risk is worth the reward as far as the cold. But yeah, he's gonna be back with us next week. He wanted me to try to talk about 30 minutes. I don't know that that's gonna happen. We'll see. But I, I'm not the how would you word it? I'm not good at getting in front of people and talking amongst a big group of people. So this does make it a little easier because y'all aren't sitting right in front of me. But I'm not as bubbly a personality as what he is. I guess we'll just leave it at that. He's much better at this than I am. But y'all send us some comments. Let us know how y'all season's going. I know there's some people that's probably already commented on here tonight, but I don't have a setup like he does. I don't have the John mode, and I don't have the dual computer screens, and I'm not the IT guy that he is, but we'll make do. We'll make do for him. But getting back to the reloading stuff, uh, you really should give it. If it's something you think you might be interested in, get with somebody that's already doing it, or get you some reload manuals, some real data. You can go to most any of your reloading manufacturing companies like Ballistic Products or Precision, any of those people like that. They've got booklets. It's You can get in it real deep, or you can just do like what I do. I don't have a lot invested in it. It doesn't have to take a lot for you to do. If you just wanted to reload you some waterfowl loads, or if you just want to reload you some turkey loads. But it's pretty neat hobby. I did it back in the late '80s. It got to where you could reload shells much, much cheaper than what you could buy shells. And shells back then were by far way cheaper. When I was up until I was probably late teens, when you went to a store and bought what they call a case of shotgun shells. It was a 20 box case back then. It wasn't a 10 box case. And I can remember, and I couldn't tell you how old I was when we done this. Probably 13, 14 years old. I remember going and buying a case of shotgun shells with my daddy before dove season came in. And this will probably make a lot of people understand what the price of shells have gone to. But I remember like it was yesterday, that 20 box case of shotgun shells was $84. And that is unheard of nowadays. You most of the time can't get a 10 box case for $84. Not anywhere that I know of anyway. And but back then you could save yourself a lot of money doing it that way. And there wasn't nearly as many people and wasn't as much technology with it as what there is today. Back then, this is how long ago it's been. You could still actually shoot ducks with lead back then. That would have been in probably the early to mid '80s was when you could. I could remember when we first started reloading, and I didn't start reloading myself until probably late '80s, early '90s. But pretty neat hobby. You ought to try to give it a shot and see what you think about it. But it's pretty neat. I kind of like it. I don't like it good as I do squeezing the trigger in a duck hole, but it's it's pretty neat for you to reload your own shells and then you kill a bird with something that you reloaded yourself with your own recipe. It's kind of a rewarding feeling if you do it that way. But like I said, I'm not the talker that RD is, and if he gets a chance to eavesdrop in tonight, I'm sure he's probably rolling right now. But he'll be back next week. But y'all if you're on here, if you know somebody who usually does something with YouTube or something, support this man. He's got a really good thing going here. Does a lot of things for charities. Not a boastful person whatsoever, but a real good person, and has done a lot of good things. Spent a lot of time in North Carolina this year after the hurricane. Lord bless them people, because I know they're still. I don't know if they're gonna recover, not completely, but y'all keep them people in your prayers, because they really they had a rough time. A lot of people, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina. That was something like I had never seen before. But yeah, if you're listening in, or got some friends that like to talk hunting and all that kind of stuff, tell them hey man, subscribe to RD's channel. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can watch him, all his videos. You can watch him on Wednesday nights. He does a live. Talks about a lot of different things, a lot of hunting, a lot of weather, football, like what we've talked about tonight. But go support him, subscribe to him, like it, comment, send comments to him. Got a good thing going on. Real good guy. And me and him met through Browning shotguns. He was having problems with a Browning, and I was having problems with a Browning, and he ended up referring me to somebody to fix it, and turned out to be a real good fix for the shotgun, and getting a buddy out of the deal at the same time. So you really can't knock that. But he he's got a good thing going here. He's got some merchandise. You can go on his site. He's got a little bit of merchandise you can buy, and it helps support him, and anything that you can do to help him out. I know he would greatly appreciate it. But I think it's about time we're gonna end it. I've talked almost 30 minutes, so that's not too bad, I guess. Y'all, ever since the beginning of November, since the election, and I'm not gonna get political, but there's a lot of things going on with our government and everything else. Everybody sees it in the news every day. Keep our government and our country in your prayers because we need every bit that we can get. Keep our law enforcement, our firefighters, our first responders, keep them in your prayers. And most importantly, keep our military in your prayers because they're the ones who are on the line every single day doing what they do so that we can do what we love to do day in and day out in this country. So y'all please don't forget them. And hopefully y'all have had a good season so far. Hopefully you will have a good rest of the season. Be safe. Uh, look out for one another. Be courteous of one another. I've seen some videos of Arkansas. Look out for one another. We all love this sport of waterfowl hunting. Let everybody enjoy it. Don't try to get all of it. So he'll be back with us next week. Hope y'all have a good week. Be safe the rest of the week. And shoot straight. See y'all later.
Matthew Knight with Satura Investors out of Charlotte. There's the information. The link to his website is scrolling across the banner down at the bottom, and it's also in the description. Today's episode is about helping business owners and working professionals like you who share a passion for the outdoors, shooting sports, zeroing them in to their long-term financial goals. So if you need any information or contact or any other questions, contact Matthew. Also, go check out Salt Creek Ammo. This triple curl TSS is some of the best TSS I have ever shot. This is for waterfowl edition. It's made full waterfowl. So if you're going to shoot a species that you've been chasing for a long time, don't use no cheap ammo. You pay good money to go on a trip. You got great guns. Don't cheap out on cheap ammunition. This TSS is amazing. It's got number 7s, number 8s, and he has number 9s. So go check out saltcreekammo.com. Here you will find any kind of ammo you're looking for. He has custom loads, TSS in 10 gauge, 12 gauge, 20 gauge, low pressure ammunition. You got Predator ammunition, turkey ammunition, anything you're looking for, give Keith a call. Also to the channel, Kicks Industries, most people will know them as Kick Chokes, has came on board, and I have done a bunch of series lately on waterfowl choke tubes, turkey choke tubes, deer choke tubes. So go check out Kick's website for all of the chokes that can fit your guns. Flint Ridge Hauling Service, LLC, has partnered up with the channel. It is your go-to provider for all your hauling needs. They are not just any hauling service. They are an active DOT interstate hotshot hauling provider. Flint Ridge Service, LLC, prides itself in its reliable transportation services. This team ensures that your cargo is delivered safely and on time no matter the distance. Whether you need to transport goods across the county or state line, they have the capacity and the expertise to meet your hauling needs. Equipped with a smooth riding 40-foot air ride equipped trailer and a max hauling capacity of 20,000 pounds, there's no load too big or too small that they can't handle. Look no further than Flint Ridge Hauling Service, LLC.